right now it's time for our fifth Test preview. That's right. If you just joined us from New Zealand, you probably don't want to hear about cricket. They've just gone down by 7 runs to the Sri Lankan in a one-dayer. So commiserations. But let's talk about a winning side. That is the Australian side going into the fifth Test here in Sydney. Now, the winner of the Test will secure the Border-Gavaskar Trophy. So a win for Australia gets them the trophy. A win for India means the series is drawn, which means the Indians retain the trophy. So Australians need a win or better. Also up for grabs is we're talking about the World Test Championship once again. If Australia win, they lock in that spot in the final.
Yeah, we went through this scenario the other day, Brooksy, and you needed a master to try and work it out. What's changed?
So if India wins, then they need a 0-0 a draw in the 2 tests in Sri Lanka, between Australia and Sri Lanka, to go through.
Okay.
If this is drawn in Sydney, Sri Lanka need to win 2-0 against Australia in Sri Lanka to qualify. But as soon as Australia gets a win, they are
That's
in.
us home. Okay.
Yes.
So South Africans will be...
They're in. South Africa's in.
So who do you think they want to play? They're hoping Sri Lanka get through, aren't they?
Yeah, I think so.
Surely. Yeah, all right.
I'm going to go out on a limb and say, definitely. Yeah. Definitely Sri Lanka.
The fifth Test starts tomorrow. The big news, obviously, Mitch Marsh is out. We've taken out one bison and we've added a slug, Beau Webster. The slug is out for Sydney. The slug is in for Sydney. Beau Webster. I don't know which sounds worse. So this is what Pat Cummins had to say to Adam Collins and Bharat Sandarasan on SEN Cricket about Beau Webster.
You'll have to find someone really tall to give Beau the cap. He's a giant, isn't he?
He is. He's tall. He's interesting as a middle order batter to see someone so tall.
And just, the fact that he's dominated Shield cricket in the last 2 years, Pat, and there's always talk of depth in Australian cricket. Is that a great sign that, someone who's done so well for his state, is now making his Test debut?
Oh, absolutely. He's anyone that comes into the game on the back of performances, they're going to know their own game. They're going to look back at, don't have to look back too far to look at times where they managed to get through a little rut or get through a tough spell or whatever it is, and draw confidence from that. So, you can have the youth, which is also naive and confident, but you can also have the confidence of someone who's experienced from doing it year after year, and that's what we got in Beau.
What have you made of him? He's been with the squad for 4 or 5 weeks now. What's the dynamic with Beau around the squad?
He's been great. Obviously running the drinks for a lot of it. He's been in and out for the Melbourne Stars as well. But great energy. Really good fun. And really love what he's brought to the squad so far.
Yeah, so good around the squad, and obviously he's got a track record in Shield. I'll admit I'm a bit of this selection made me realise I'm a bit of a hypocrite in that I've been a big Mitch Marsh advocate, but at the same time, when we were talking about who to bring in for an opener, talking about we need guys that are knocking down the door with their Shield performances, and then when you look at Beau Webster's form in the Shield in the last 2 years, he's genuinely done that.
Hard to argue, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Interesting to hear Bharat there with a little sort of tease as to who's going to present the Baggy Green.
Yeah.
Going to have to be someone tall, so he's sort of picking up the same vibe that we're putting down. Text in 0457 736 736. Who is going to present the big man, his Baggy Green? Probably puts Booney out of the question, I think, if you're going by Bharat's equation.
Maybe you could have Ponting on Booney's shoulders.
Now we're talking.
Like just in one trench coat and then boom, here's your cap.
So we put it out on Joel Fletch SEN on X. Who should present Beau Webster his Baggy Green? We've got some interesting ones. We've got Ben Hilfenhaus.
Oh, the Hilf.
Yeah.
I like that.
Tasmanian bowler.
Yeah.
He could be an option. We've got Mark Cosgrove.
Mark Cosgrove. I haven't heard a name like that in a while.
Tassie legend. Mitch Marsh. Rob from Blacktown. That's a bit interesting. And Jeff Marsh. Sean Opie's gone Jeff Marsh.
Jeff Marsh.
Wow. Booney. Nikki Webster. Another Webster. That's from Marncat.
Nikki.
Tim's daughter.
Yep.
Yeah. And Chris Clement's gone. Born and bred in Hobart. There's only one guy that can do it. Punter.
Yeah.
He's favourite, isn't he?
He'd have to be short odds.
Yeah, we don't have a market, but he's got to be favourite for that one. So we wait with bated breath. But on the man that's on his way out, tough going this series for Mitch Marsh. This is his scores with the bat: 9, 5, 2, 4, and duck egg, and 16 wicketless overs. That was the big talking point. Like, didn't get much chance with the ball. There was some chat, I think, was because he was injured. So how many? Like, what do we expect from Beau Webster in terms of number of overs with ball in hand now that he's in the squad?
You'd have to be obviously, ideally, the whole side's not bowling too many overs. Like, you want to get through them. But if you have a test like we had in Melbourne where you go all 4 days, lots of overs bowled, given that I think Mitch Starc's going to be playing through pain is the word. And then, I think Pat Cummins probably will bowl, is willing to bowl long spells, but he's probably best in shorter spells where he's your weapon and your enforcer. So
do you reckon that come into the consideration then with Starc's output probably naturally going to go down, just given that little sort of niggle? Is there probably maybe more to the Marsh injury, in inverted commas, that there might, or that we're being told? And that Webster can actually deliver a bit more with ball in hand.
That's where I'm starting to think. I think maybe the bowling had more to do with
because all the chat's about the batting, right?
Yeah. But realistically, it has been a unusually light workload given the summer that they've had, where there have been a lot of overs bowled. Like, it's not like the Australians have just run through them every time. Particularly in that last test when you saw Starc bowling through pain and the Marsh, barely bowled the whole time. What do you do? 6 overs for the test match? That's not a bowling
7, I think. Yeah.
No, it's not, is it?
Well, looking back at the last 3 SCG tests, Nathan Lyon's basically been the bowler that's bowled the most overs for Australia. I know it's been England, Pakistan and South Africa, but you're probably going to see an increase with Lyon in this test. So it is... And Travis Head will probably have a bowl too. I noticed he took a few overs in a couple of those tests. Even Marnus got a bowl last year. So there could be a bit more of that. I don't know if Webster's going to be needed to bowl. He might do, depending on the Starc situation, because they're going with Starc. So we could see 6, 7 bowlers rotating around here. Depending what the pitch does, it could be Nathan Lyon doing a lot of the bowling too.
I think if you've got Beau Webster bowling well, there should be no need to ever see Marnus try and bowl his medium paces ever again. That over he bowled before lunch, where he just bowled 6 bounces that got ducked and nothing happened, was
one of the most bizarre moments I've seen. In Test cricket, because
he bowls decent enough spin that you could definitely have him go in there. It's like. Well, he's sort of like a Travis Head, a part-timer that you can throw a ball to, and maybe something happens, maybe it doesn't. But I don't know if I like the the bouncer barrage from Marnus necessarily. But that goes to show that Mitch Marsh really wasn't. I don't know if he wasn't able to bowl or wasn't comfortable bowling, or his confidence was down with his bowling. I don't know. They just didn't. They didn't even look like going to him.
No.
But great catching.
Yes. Yeah. So they lose that. What's Beau Webster like in the field? The big slug. Doesn't sound like he moves that fast.
The slug.
I think it's regarding slugger. Like, that's why he's aggressive style of play. That's why he's been given the nickname Slug.
That's your theory. I've got some different ones. We spoke about Starc's fitness query. So it's a side strain, we're being told. And this is what El Capitano Patrick Cummins had to say on the state of his fitness heading into Sydney.
We're all in pretty good physical shape. Starkey's obviously nursing a little bit of pain, but in terms of energy levels and those kind of things, he's all sweet to go. So, we've obviously got Beau, maybe a little bit extra bowling this week, but no, all the bowlers are in good shape.
Is that partly informed by just how big this test match is? I mean, some test matches are fundamentally bigger than others, and this can be the first time that you've held the Border-Gavaskar Trophy personally. Is that partly why you just go the extra yard with Starc?
Yeah, I mean, I think you just do it in Test cricket, really, in general. There aren't too many Test matches you kind of miss just because, you feel like you need to get a little bit more rest or whatever. Obviously missing Joshy as well. You kind of we feels like the four of us, we've had Scotty in there, have played the most of the test matches, and you're probably a little bit more inclined to rotate through us, whereas really happy with our Scotty and Mitchie bowled last week, so we just want to go again this week.
Interesting way he started. We're all in pretty good physical shape. That sounded a lot like me trying to convince myself New Year's morning that I was feeling all right.
Relative. Yeah,
and look, I'm not as bad as I thought I was going to be.
Yeah.
So,
for me, I'm pretty good.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know, that side strain, like he was clearly had discomfort bowling, but as you saw, his speeds weren't necessarily down a lot.
Was he not getting his calf worked on?
He was getting his calf worked on late on the just before the new ball, late on day 5.
Yeah.
So, when the new ball was to be expected. I noticed that too. So that's
calf,
another.
It's a weird spot for a side strain.
But isn't this just part and parcel of a 5-test series against India, that your body's not going to be in tip-top shape? It's like NRL players playing through 27 rounds, Origins, getting to finals, and they're going to be banged up.
Yeah.
These bowlers are banged up, and both sides of the coin here. This is an epic series. We've just had one of the best tests we've seen in ages go 5 days, where the bowlers have needed to throw down like record overs. Bumrah, most he's ever bowled in a series.
Yeah.
Like, this is the outcome of it. And it's been a great series, and we want our bowlers to be sore and sorry at this stage.
I don't want to, you don't want him, look, oh, no, mate, he's fighting fit. He barely put in Melbourne. Like, And you know what I will say about the side strain is I'm less worried about the side strain now than the calf that you reminded me of. Thanks, Sean. Now I'm going to go to sleep. But the side strain, he looked like he had discomfort at the starter spells.
Yeah.
It looked like it was one of those ones, once he warmed
warm
up,
into it.
he'd go through and do all right. So hopefully that just means it was some sort of tightness. I don't know about the calf though. Now you've got me really worried.
I'm sorry I brought it up. Sorry, Barney. Great text here from Jerry. Hi guys, a big question for SCG, for the SCG test rather. How many retirements do we see afterwards? I'm tipping 3: Khawaja, Nathan Lyon, and Mitchell Starc. Now you're really not going to sleep.
Oh, jeez, Jerry, what are
Jerry,
you doing
we
to
asked for
me?
positivity at the start of the show.
Yeah.
And I can't help but feel there's a bit of negativity in that text.
I'll be honest, Jerry, I don't see those retirements coming after the SCG test. Khawaja, a possibility if the selectors said, look, you're not really in our
Tap on the
considerations post Sri Lanka. We're going to be looking for a different opening partnership into the next Ashes. But I think with the Ashes 12 months away, I cannot see Lyon, Starc and Khawaja wanting to hang it up.
Yeah.
If we're talking in 12 months' time, how many retirements at the end of the last Ashes test? I'm saying 9. There's just everyone over 30 just hangs it up pretty much. Like that's going to be the real worry.
That's the old guard of the Aussie Test team to the new guard, Sam Konstas.
Yeah.
Who's going to make his he's on his home deck for the SCG test.
Yeah, it's interesting because he's only played how many? What are we up to? First class games for him. He's only played a handful of first class games, but I noticed he's played a fair few of his home games out at Cricket Central at Silverwater.
Of course. Which
the SCG it is not in terms of. I had someone point that out to me. Brooksy, I think you pointed it out to me the other day. Like when he made those twin centuries out at Cricket Central, they were picking sixes up out of the bush.
Yes.
That's on one side of the field fence, like just looking for snakes. And the next thing he's out there performing in front of 80,000 people.
What ball do we say first ramp shot attempted?
Ooh. This is
Well, do they set up the field for that? And that's what they did in the second innings and from the
change
get-go.
the way he
So,
plays.
do you risk it?
I think
With Bumrah's captain,
mate, I think if
you would
Bumrah's
definitely put him down there.
if Bumrah's beating the outside edge and they haven't set the field for it, I think that's where he'll go. But I think if they've set the field for it, and you know that he'll try. I wouldn't be surprised if he starts moving down the pitch at blokes and just trying anything to unsettle the bowlers.
Yeah.
It's great seeing him there, but this is the test. He's played his trump card early, right?
Yes.
And then we've found very early. And then he got sort of found out in the second innings, like where they'd put the field to adjust to what he did in the first innings, and then couldn't really get off the mark.
I think he's 19.
It's a big test for him. If he can get another together half ton.
He has got
Instagram
India.
followers
He
again.
has got India exactly
You
where he
reckon?
wants them. I think we might see a bit more of an orthodox display from Sammy Konstas here. Not Cammy Sonstas, as I was about to say.
Cammy Sonstas. Now, there's a nickname.
Paddy Cummins had this to say about Sammy Konstas.
I think he showed how adaptable he can be. That takes a lot of skill, first of all. But we always encourage our players just to read the moment, play it how they see fit. So for Sam, he sensed the moment was to attack and put pressure back onto the bowlers, and he did that. It might be different this week. It might be, I'm going to play a slow game and kind of score your runs that way. So our message is always just to back yourself, have really clear plans, and back your decision making.
Interesting. I heard the new ball this morning with Bharat Sundaresan and Tom Morris, and Tom Morris was comparing him to Nick Kyrgios and a young Kevin Peterson because of his arrogance. Do you reckon?
Supremely unlikable. Imagine if those two had a kid.
Do you feel he's? I don't think
No,
he's.
no, that is way off the mark. That's Kane Corn's territory of dumb stuff to say.
If you want some,
Oh my God.
If you want some cringe, go on to KP's Instagram and see his latest reel about what he got for Christmas.
I've seen that.
It is absolutely rank. It's some of the rankest stuff you'll see.
Yeah.
Shout out to you, KP. We spoke about, we've chatted a fair bit of Aussie test side stuff going into the test, but there's a lot of things happening in the Indian team as well. Rohit Sharma, a big turning point. Barney's struggled in the 3 tests that he's played this series. These numbers do not make for good reading. 3, 6, 10, 3 and 9. An average of just over 6. What are we doing with Rohit Sharma?
Mate, the even more concerning part of this is not just that he seems out of runs, but he seems they seem more disjointed since he's rejoined the side. There was, he came in, he was in the middle order. He's obviously down on batting confidence because, he's been the top of the orders where he's sort of made his career. And then to come back into the side down the order and then have to go back to the top of the order, shuffle the order, and then just seeing them on the field, the body language, the sort of they don't look like a side that's
tight unit.
There was some great footage going around social media of watching basically him at first slip and
Jaiswal dropping at second.
No, it wasn't
third set. Or
Jaiswal. It was Kohli at second slip, basically telling him you need to move the field here, here, and here, and then him turning around and doing it. Like it makes you wonder. And then there was, I think it was before day 4 at the Melbourne Test. The story was that the big in the huddle, the big talk was all Kohli doing the talk to the team, which, obviously a very senior player, well respected, but a guy who's not in great form himself. So, I think they're denying there's any.
They've been very prickly.
Yeah,
on and off the field.
Yeah, they're
We've
denying.
had some airport run-ins. We've had some media run-ins on media calls and so forth. There's something going on there.
Yeah, definitely. Well, Gautam Gambhir had this to say about Rohit Sharma and his spot in the side.
Yes, it's traditional for the captain to attend the pre-match press conference. Is everything okay with Rohit, and have you confirmed at 11 for tomorrow?
The thing is, everything is fine with Rohit, and I don't think so it's anything traditional. I think the head coach is there. That should be fine. That should be good enough. And we're going to have a look at the wicket and finalise it tomorrow.
Rohit's certainly plays tomorrow. Is he definitely part of your 11?
As I just said, that we're going to have a look at the wicket and probably announce our playing 11 tomorrow.
So you can't.
The answer remains the same.
Prickly, Barney.
Yeah, it's unusual.
Very
Like
prickly.
I get that the Indian squad, the Indian cricket name their side on the day. They look at the pitch. That's perfectly fine. Australia tend to do it the day before. India are always traditionally day off, which no problem with that. But you'd think the coach a day out from a test would be happy to name the captain in the side. Would you not?
or have him there at I think the presser thing's pretty important.
Yeah.
Don't you think? That
Yeah.
if he's not there, you don't want the captain there and then he's not selected the next day. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's a very
I'm
good
looking
point.
pretty deep here, but it's like
I don't
if
think
he's not there
that's
doing
not
the
that deep.
chat,
I like that.
if he's not doing the chat 24 hours out and he's, with the team and whatnot, I'm looking into it to say that he's not going to be there. Because you want him there. You want the voice of the captain being able to talk about the team, not just the coach. And I think that's what's great about Pat Cummins. He fronts. And that's what I feel like the test is, like the documentary, The Test, has really opened up the Aussie cricket team to be quite transparent in terms of the moves that they make. They make them early and they're confident in selection. This, to me, shows that this Sharma isn't a sure thing as captain in the side.
Well, the rumour is he didn't turn up to the traditional little bit of backyard cricket at Kirribilli and if you're knocking back an invo from elbow, like, something's definitely going on. Do you think maybe he's had the word that, God, you're not going to be part of this, and we're going to the man we'd expect to be his replacement. He captained the side in the first test, Jasprit Bumrah. Are they a better side with Jasprit shuffling them around the field?
Yeah. Well, Perth says so.
Wasn't the question? The question was asked when Pat Cummins was sort of made captain. Like, how does a captain go when he's as a bowler? Does that come into it for you at all, Barney?
Traditionally, I would have thought so, but I think with this Indian side, anyway, let's be honest. They've got enough senior players that, and very, very experienced players that there is support for their captain there with field placements and all the traditional tactical stuff that you do in the field anyway. So that sort of takes a bit of that off the plate. That's more a committee type thing anyway. We see that even with the Australian side. Steve Smith is really there supporting Cummins, and especially when he's bowling during his spells. You've got those senior guys that step up and watch for the stuff that the captain would normally be watching for. And let's be honest, Virat pretty much is just going to tell everyone what to do anyway. So, but I think the big thing with Jasprit is he seems to be a guy they get behind. He's one of those natural leaders that they want to follow. And with the series he's had, he's basically carried the side on his back anyway.
Yeah, and I guess that's the other big question, though. Do you rock the boat of his form by giving him the extra pressure of being captain as well? Like captain of India, that's one hell of a job. It's
different to fill in for one test than to have it announced as now you're the man. Yeah. Let's be honest, the workload he's had in this series, 53.2 overs in the fourth test he bowled, which is his most in a test ever.
Yeah, and it was hot down there, short backup to Sydney. Then we're going to go to some audio what Patrick Cummins had to say about Jasprit Bumrah to us.
There's no doubt he's bowling well at the moment. He's always tough. Hopefully by the time I come in, he's well into his late in the day, and he's bowled a fair bit, which makes it a little bit easier for me. But he's bowled well, so I've faced him quite a bit across the world in different formats, and but always poses a challenge.
High praise from Paddy Cummins there. All right, we're going to chat some more fifth test after the news, but stick around. This is the summer run home with Coal Miner and Barney.
What, you're still here? Well, you can see more on the Joel and Fletch socials and catch us live on SEN Radio, you beautiful humans.